She didn't cry. She didn't beg. She didn't knock. She stepped out of the darkness as if she had always belonged there, a small shape framed by the sodium glow of the dockside streetlights. Her hand reached out and tapped a stranger's wrist, soft, shaking, deliberate. In her palm sat a crumpled $5 bill, worn thin by too much folding, too many nights of being held and released again. "Please," the girl whispered, her voice steady in a way only the very frightened or the very trained can manage. "Help my mom." The woman she stopped did not look like a hero. She looked like nothing at all. People in town had names for her. The quiet one. The ex-military type. The woman who paid in cash and never made eye contact. She lived in a weather-beaten cabin near the docks, wore oversized hoodies, kept her head down, and moved like someone who expected trouble but refused to invite it. She had erased herself on purpose. Tonight, she had just stepped out of the bait shop with a can of black coffee and a roll of gauze. Supplies, not comfort, when the girl stopped her. The woman barely glanced down. "Move along," she said flatly. The girl didn't move. "Please," she said again. "Help my mom." The woman's gaze stayed forward. She didn't do rescues. She didn't do civilians. She didn't do children with desperate eyes and trembling hands. Whatever she had once been, it was buried, and it was meant to stay that way. "You've got the wrong person," the woman said. "No," the girl replied. Her voice cracked, but her feet stayed planted. "My mom said if I was ever scared, I had to find you." That made the woman look down again. "Who told you my name?" she asked. Her voice was low now, sharp enough to cut. The girl shook her head. "She didn't say your name." Then, almost reverently, she added, "She called you the one who never came back." The air shifted. That phrase wasn't a nickname or a rumor. It was a scar. A memory only one person in the woman's past would have used. For a heartbeat, the woman didn't react. But something inside her did. Tightened, recoiled, woke up. She stared at the girl like she'd just seen a ghost. Then she looked at the $5 bill again. Folded twice. Soft at the edges. Not money saved for candy or toys. Money saved for one moment, one purpose. She took it. Not as payment. Not as charity. As a signal. "Okay," she said quietly. "Tell me everything. And don't lie to me. Not once." The girl's name was Leah. She said it softly, like she wasn't used to being asked. She sat stiffly on the bench outside the bait shop as the woman crouched in front of her, eyes level, posture controlled. The night air had turned cold, but Leah didn't shiver. "My mom said never talk to strangers," Leah said. "Except you." "Why me?" the woman asked. "Because she said you weren't a stranger," Leah replied. "She said you used to be her shadow." The word hit harder than the rest. "Shadow." The woman blinked slowly, jaw tightening. Leah continued, careful and precise. "She told me if anything happened, I had to wait 3 days. If she didn't come back, I was supposed to come here." From her jacket pocket, Leah pulled out a scrap of paper, folded and unfolded so many times it had gone soft. On it were 2 things written in tight, slanted handwriting. An address. And a line beneath it. "Pay her. She doesn't ignore contracts." The woman stared at the paper. Then at the girl. "She said it used to be a joke between you," Leah added. "Back when you were soldiers." The woman looked away for a moment. Then back. "Tell me what happened." "My mom works nights at the port," Leah said. "Cleaning. She says the people there don't ask questions." "When did she disappear?" 3 nights ago. She didn't come home." No panic. No tears. Just facts, rehearsed in silence and fear. "I waited till morning," Leah said. "I called her phone. It went to voicemail. I called again. Then I waited. You call the police. They told me to wait longer. Said adults disappear all the time." The woman said nothing. She'd heard that line before. Always from people who didn't want to look too closely. "She left me a note," Leah continued. "Hidden in my pillowcase. She said if it ever felt wrong, I wasn't allowed to tell the police. I wasn't allowed to ask neighbors. I was supposed to find you. And pay you." That was the second time she'd said it. Contracts. And you've been alone this whole time? The woman asked. Leia nodded once. I made food. I stayed quiet. I waited 3 days. Then I found you. How? Leia hesitated. Mom said even ghosts leave footprints if you know where to look. The woman stood slowly. She didn't need a case file. She didn't need confirmation. She knew exactly what this was. Someone had taken the wrong woman. And that meant they'd just signed a contract with the wrong ghost. The drive was quiet. No radio. No small talk. Leia sat in the passenger seat of the battered SUV, clutching a packet of crackers the woman had handed her without comment. Gravel hissed under the tires as the road narrowed. After several minutes, the woman spoke. What's your mom's name? Leia hesitated, like the name itself was dangerous. Raina. The woman's grip tightened on the steering wheel. She didn't ask for a last name. She didn't need to. The breath that left her chest wasn't a sigh. It was recoil, like standing too close to a door breaching charge. You knew her, Leia said. Instead of answering, the woman pulled off the road. The cabin sat hidden in a clearing, invisible from both directions. Inside, there was no comfort. No photos. No decoration. Just function. Cold air, gun oil, silence. The woman lifted a floor panel and opened a hidden box. Inside, a half-burned military patch, a fixed blade, a creased satellite map marked with red XS, and a laminated photo of 2 women in desert fatigues, grinning like they'd stolen something sacred. She set the photo aside without looking. She said you wouldn't come, Leia whispered. She was right, the woman replied. I wouldn't have. Why now? The woman's voice was quiet, heavier than before. Because she knew how to make me. She rolled out the map, fingers steady now. We trained together, she said. Bled together. Broke rules together. When the mission went dark, she stayed behind. She told me you never came back, Leia said. She was supposed to be dead, the woman answered. Or erased. But she's not. No, the woman said, standing. And whatever she's caught in now is bad enough she couldn't get out herself. She reached for a weathered pack. We move now. The ghost was done waiting. And somewhere at the port, someone was about to learn that some contracts never expire. The cabin had been built to disappear. No internet lines. No security cameras. No landline. No neighbors close enough to ask questions. Once a year, a ranger accepted cash and forgot the place existed. The woman had constructed it that way, plank by plank, not for comfort, but for control. She brought Leia inside without ceremony. The girl moved quietly, instinctively, like someone who had learned early how to make herself small. She didn't touch anything. Didn't wonder. She watched. That alone told the woman everything she needed to know. Good, she murmured, not as praise, but as recognition. Raina had taught her well. The woman crouched in front of Leia and pulled a penlight from her kit. Any injuries? Leia shook her head. Lift your sleeves. The woman checked carefully. Bruises, needle marks, tracking ink, anything that didn't belong. Not because she mistrusted the child, but because the people who had taken Raina might already be watching. Leia's arms were clean. Just old scrapes and one healing scratch. Satisfied, the woman moved to a metal storage chest and opened it. Inside was a flat, sealed case. Laminated emergency cards, stacked $20 bills, a burner phone still wrapped in plastic, and a compact medical kit. Ghost standard. She handed the phone to Leia. Don't turn it on unless I tell you. Don't give this number to anyone. Then she opened a hidden panel behind the closet, revealing a narrow space just large enough for a cot, a solar lantern, and 2 bottles of water. You stay here, she said. Her voice hardened. No matter what. If someone knocks, you don't answer. If anyone says my name, you don't answer. You leave out the back and run west. Leia hesitated only a second, then nodded, not out of fear, but understanding. I will, she said. The woman studied her. You remind me of her. My mom? Leia asked. Yes. The The woman turned away and unlocked a bolted cabinet under the sink. Inside was a canvas wrap. She laid it open on the table. A combat knife, a suppressed pistol, lockpick wire, and a worn military patch bearing no name, just a half-buried trident. She reached for the final item, an old satellite phone wrapped in foil. She stared at it for a long moment. Then she peeled the foil back and powered it on. The ghost was done hiding. She moved before dawn. Boots silent on gravel. Breath measured. Muscle memory snapping into place as if the years had never passed. She didn't call for backup. She didn't want chatter in her ear. This wasn't a mission with a chain of command. This was personal. The port sat 3 miles out, a choke point of steel and floodlights where container trucks idled endlessly. She parked 2 blocks away, covered the plates, and went in on foot. She didn't ask questions. She observed. A camera above Dock 12 skipped 5 seconds every 40. Floodlights had a blind spot along the eastern alley. Tire impressions led away from a far fence, multiple patterns, but one stood out. She crouched and traced it with 2 fingers. Split axle. Reinforced tires. Contractor grade. Nearby lay a crushed piece of black plastic. She lifted it carefully with forceps. A zip tie, beveled edges, bonded seams. Commercial restraint tech. Quiet. Fast. Clean. Not amateurs. Then she smelled it. Diesel and salt air layered with something bitter and synthetic. Jet fuel residue. Her eyes narrowed. That didn't come from the port. Air transfer staging. This hadn't been a snatch for ransom. No chaos. No public struggle. Just a clean abduction into a vehicle that didn't belong to anyone local. This was containment. She scaled a rusted ladder and watched from above. 2 men stood near a warehouse office. Not smoking. Not talking. Scanning in patterns, clockwise, sweep, repeat. Wrong posture for muscle. Too calm. Too trained. She checked their boots through a monocular. She recognized the model. She'd worn them once, briefly, before walking away from the team that issued them. They weren't American. Or at least, they weren't working for America. She didn't move yet. She didn't need more proof. This wasn't about Raina disappearing. This was about silencing her. You weren't supposed to survive, the woman whispered into the wind. She followed. One guard peeled off near the industrial park. The other moved northeast. No rush. No fear. He thought he wasn't being watched. He was wrong. She tracked him through shadows, parked rigs, scaffolding, flickering lights, never close enough to be seen, never far enough to lose him. He entered a building marked Virex Maritime Logistics. The sign was a lie. No license number. No company vehicles labeled. A shell. She waited. 10 minutes later, 3 more men entered. Civilian clothes. Tactical movement. One spoke into a comset. Confirmed. Prepping for relocation. Asset. Not victim. Not detainee. Asset. They hadn't taken Raina to punish her. They'd taken her for what she knew. Old operations. Classified footage. A mission that was never supposed to have witnesses. The woman pulled a paper map from her jacket and unfolded it beneath a broken street lamp. She circled the port. Then the shell building. Between them ran a forgotten line, maintenance tunnels buried since the 1980s. She knew them. She and Raina had hidden there during night drills when they were younger, reckless, and convinced nothing could touch them. She tore the map in half. One piece went into her boot. The other she hid behind a utility panel. They are moving her tonight, she whispered. Not fear. Confirmation. She adjusted the blade under her jacket and cracked her neck once. They thought they were invisible. They thought they operated in the shadows. They had no idea whose shadow they were standing in. And by the time they realized it, it would already be too late. She moved at 0213. No moon. No headlights. No margin for error. The exterior rotation around the Virex building had thinned to 2 men, both lingering near a camera that wasn't actually recording. She knew the system, It was a decoy feed, designed to discourage casual surveillance while masking blind zones. She'd built versions of it herself overseas, back when she still had a rank and a call sign. Now she had silence. She slipped through a drainage gate behind the shipping lot, crawled beneath rusted mesh fencing, and waited. Timing wasn't instinct, it was discipline. One short burst of matte blackout paint splashed across the nearest camera lens. The red indicator blinked once. Then died. No alarm. No chatter. She crossed the remaining distance in seconds and reached the service stairwell door. A keycard reader glowed faintly. She ignored it, pulled a thin strip of flex metal, popped the casing, crossed 2 wires and listened. Click. The door opened. Inside, the air smelled sterile, too clean for a port facility. Overused false identities and scrubbed floors. She moved low and fast, hugging walls, soundless except for the measured rhythm of her own breath. 2 floors down, voices echoed around a corner. Extraction window closes at 0330. Another voice, accented, calm. She's still resisting. She doesn't have to, a third replied. Her body will. That was enough. A guard stepped past her position, unaware. She wrapped an arm around his neck and pulled him back before his brain registered danger. He slumped without a sound. She reached a steel-plated door labeled Medical Research, Temporary Hold. A biometric scanner pulsed beside it. She peeled a gum wrapper foil strip, jammed it into the housing, rewired the contacts, and overloaded the sensor. The lock failed. Inside, chained at wrists and ankles, slumped but conscious, Raina. Her eyes lifted instantly. No shock. No fear. Just recognition. Where's my daughter? She whispered. She's safe, the woman said. I swear. Raina tried to rise, pain ripping through her shoulders as chains pulled tight. You shouldn't be here. You left. I wasn't supposed to come back. Footsteps echoed down the corridor. Close. 30 seconds, the woman said, already cutting through restraints with a compact tool. Raina stood with help, swaying but steady enough. No questions. Just the quiet trust of someone who knew exactly who had come for her. They slipped into shadow just as the door burst open. The first man came in hard, fast, aggressive, sloppy. She sidestepped and slammed his throat into the frame. He dropped, choking, weapon useless. The second was smarter. Low entry. Quick angle. He didn't see Raina move. Even injured, she caught his wrist mid-swing and drove a knee into his leg, once, twice, then pinned him against the wall. You good? Raina growled. Wouldn't be here if I wasn't, the woman replied. Then came a voice from the doorway. Calm. Unrushed. 2 ghosts in one place, the man said. He didn't raise his hands. He didn't flinch. He looked like someone who had ordered disappearances before breakfast. We didn't take her to hurt her, he continued. She has information that belongs to other governments now. Which ones? The woman asked. A slight smile. The kind that don't acknowledge ghosts unless they are bleeding. Raina stepped forward. So you dragged me off the street like a package? We preserved you, the man said. Containment. Procedure. His eyes shifted to the woman. We heard you were dead. Disappointed? She asked. We also know about the girl. The room changed instantly. She moved before thought. 3 strides. Duck. Elbow. Wrist twist, bone cracked. 1 slam. The man dropped. She didn't watch him fall. We move, she told Raina. They didn't run. Ghosts don't run. They vanished. She guided Raina through a narrow utility corridor thick with oil and seawater stench. Raina leaned into her, breathing hard, one eye swelling shut. There's a dock patrol every 10 minutes, Raina said. We're not using the dock. She pulled open a rusted hatch and revealed a catwalk over the fence line, an old rat tunnel, forgotten by anyone who hadn't memorized this place decades earlier. Before leaving, she opened her satchel. Methodical erasure. A comm device, battery stripped, antenna snapped, dropped into runoff water. A tablet from the dispatch desk, smashed, chip removed, crushed. Then a manifest book. Paper. Names. Movement logs. Her hand froze on a familiar entry. She tore the page out and burned it. Ash sank into black oil below. "You're not just pulling me out," Raina said quietly. "You're wiping everything." "I have something to lose now," the woman replied. Lights flared outside. Tires crunched. Too late. They dropped into the trench and disappeared. By the time armed boots stormed the corridor behind them, there was nothing left but scorched ink, broken systems, and 2 ghosts already gone. The night wasn't over. But the hunters had just learned something important. They weren't alone anymore. It was still dark when they returned. That strange, fragile hour before dawn hung in the air, the moment when the world seems to pause, unsure whether it's safe to begin again. The woman guided Raina up the last stretch of dirt road, her arm steady beneath her shoulder. Gravel shifted softly under their boots. The cabin waited ahead, silent, unlit, exactly as she'd left it. She opened the door carefully and eased Raina inside, propping her against the wall. "Stay here," she said. Then, louder, but still controlled, "Clear." For a moment, nothing happened. Then a door creaked. Small footsteps crossed the wooden floor, careful and deliberate. A thin silhouette appeared in the dim light, clutching a toy flashlight in one hand and a dull kitchen knife in the other. Found, not given. The woman crouched slowly. "Smart girl," she said. Leia didn't answer. She scanned the woman's body instead, eyes sharp, searching for blood, for weakness, exactly the way her mother used to. The same eyes. The same discipline. The same fear wrapped in resolve. Then she saw Raina. Time fractured. "Mama." Raina stepped forward into the light. One eye swollen. Cuts along her lip. Her wrist wrapped in gauze. Still standing. Still smiling. "Hey, baby." Leia didn't move at first. She needed to be sure. To measure what she was seeing against 3 days of silence and terror. Then the dam broke. She ran. She slammed into her mother's arms like she had been holding in every scream since the moment Raina didn't come home. They sank to the floor together, sobbing, gripping each other as if the world might try to take one of them again. The woman turned away. This wasn't hers. She walked to the small wooden table and reached into her pocket. Slowly, deliberately, she placed the crumpled $5 bill on the surface. No ceremony. No words. The contract fulfilled. But Leia saw it. She pulled free from her mother for just a second and hurried across the room, snatching the bill back with fierce little fingers. "No," she said. The woman raised an eyebrow. "I didn't do this for money." "Then keep it," Leia replied, pressing it into her palm with surprising force. "That's your courage money." The woman froze. She looked down at the bill. Then at Raina. "She's bold," Raina said softly, wiping her cheek. "She's yours," the woman replied. Silence settled over the cabin, not awkward, not heavy. Just real. The kind that only comes after something terrible has ended and something fragile has survived. Finally, Raina spoke the question she'd carried since the moment she was taken. "Why did you come?" The woman didn't answer right away. She looked at the $5 bill. At Leia, curled back into her mother's side, clinging like she planned never to let go again. Her voice, when it came, was flat, gravel under steel. "Because you told me once," she said. "Ghosts don't get saved. They get hunted." She paused. "So I came to hunt first." They didn't say anything else. They didn't need to. One small nod passed between them. Old loyalty, old wounds, settled without apology. The sun began to rise. The woman stepped back toward the door, already fading into the edges of the room. She didn't promise to stay. She didn't promise anything at all. Ghosts never do. But this time, when she disappeared into the morning light, she left something behind. Not fear. Not debt. Proof. Proof that contracts can still mean something. Proof that silence doesn't mean weakness. Proof that even the most dangerous people in the world can choose what they protect. And somewhere behind her, a little girl slept safely in her mother's arms, alive because a ghost answered a $5 contract and decided that some wars are worth fighting quietly. Because some legends don't want statues. They want justice. And some ghosts? They don't vanish. They wait, until they're needed again.